Hello and welcome to another episode of Out of Spec Dave, where just 10 days ago on December 31st, I put up a review of the Kia Niro, where I created a scale, a point system out of 100 that I did my best to come up with what I thought was the right criteria. And I think I did pretty well. But here's the thing. I got a lot of feedback in the comments and suggestions about what I should be doing or I shouldn't be doing. And what I thought I would do here is go through some of the comments that really resonated with me and some of the comments that actually made me update and change the formula that I'm using to calculate the 100 points. And what I want to do is I want to go over those changes with you right now because I'm planning on doing a review of my Tesla Model 3 performance on Saturday. And I'm going to use this new format. Now, I'm not going to keep changing this format as we go on, but I wanted to make some quick tweaks to it because I just kind of threw it out there quickly and I got a lot of great feedback from all of you. So thank you so much for your feedback. Thank you for embracing at least my attempt to put some sort of structure around how I can go out and review cars. And let's get into this video because I'm going to take you through not a review of a car, but a review of how I review the cars, if that makes sense. And I'm going to show you my new formula and my new numbers and calculations. And we'll see how that goes. I'll probably run with this for a little while and see what you think of it. But let's get into it. All right, so let's jump into the spreadsheet that I created and just kind of show you, if you haven't seen my scoring or rating system, I should say, let's go ahead and take a look at this. So I've only done one review so far, and it was on a Kia Niro, a 2024, and it was on the Win version. And what you can see from this spreadsheet is that I've placed sort of the data around it. There's a lot of statistics and different models. They have, a couple of different models. They have the wind and then they have the wave. And what do you get with the wind versus the wave? So just a little bit of an explanation about that. What date I did the review on the 28th of December, released the video on the 31st, New Year's Eve. How many miles were on the car, what year the car was, and statistics about it. But the real key thing here were sort of the categories in the point system. So it was a total of 100 points. And the first category was charging. And you can see there's a total of 20 points there. And I give the key range statistics as far as the EPA rated range, how fast it charges as far as DC charging, how fast it charges as far as AC charging, and then I can give my points. Now, a couple of you suggested that I don't do negative points, and I'm going to override you on that. I'm definitely going to keep the negative points in. So as we show, we've got four different categories within the charging category, subcategories, if you will. So a total of 20 points, and you can go from anywhere from maximum of 5 points for each one of the subcategories down to a minimum of -5. And so when you go through each one of these categories, technology, 20 points, 5 categories, 4 each, could be 4, could be -4. You can see that with trip planning, I gave it a -4. Some of the feedback I got specifically on this Kia Niro, maybe I didn't have the software update. It sounds like they've got the new trip planner built into the newest Kia Niro EVs, which are similar to the EGMP platform cars. If that's true, then it's a little bit of a miss on my side, but I couldn't find it, which was not super intuitive. Drivability as far as acceleration, handling, and in the regeneration, a total of 15 points, 5 each. Ergonomics, storage, front seat, total of 12 points. You get the idea. And buying considerations, use cases, build quality, noise and vibrations, warranty, and then finally service. So a total of 100 points for each one of the top categories, and then each one of the subcategories adds up to a total of 100 as well. And I gave this car 47.3, which, look, I want to say an inexpensive car. When you compare it to a Model 3, it's not necessarily inexpensive, but what I also understand is these lease out really well. So I didn't really get into buying versus leasing in this review. But that's something to definitely think about when you're going out to potentially, look at one of these as a new purchase or lease. Definitely check out the lease, especially on the Kia Niros. So now let me jump over to the some of the comments that I got from all of you, and again, I want to thank you for that. So from Dennis Leon 5412, 7 days ago, value for the money or utility, opinions on cheap versus luxurious interior, otherwise good stuff, Dave. And so what I really started to think about, one of the categories I had was price. And I liked this value for the money. And one of the other themes that came into this is that some cars are very expensive. They could be Mercedes, $100,000 cars. And there are certain cars that will compete with other cars from a Mercedes or what have you, BMWs as an example. And I think what I'm going to end up doing is adding a category of cars when I put all the data up, and that will grow. So, you're not going to be comparing a Kona from a price standpoint versus a Mercedes, EQS or something like that. But within the category of a car or a light duty, pickup of some sort, let's say, I'll put that in so it's contextual to the type of cars that it's competing with. But let me show you what I've done here as far as this, as far as the new, where is this? Here we go, right here. So I've created a new format here, and let me scroll down to where I have buying considerations. So previously, row 32 cells, C32, it said price here before. And now what I've done is I've changed the word price to value for the money. And I also doubled the points value on here. So what I've done is I've kept this overall category to 8 points, but things like the tax credit, which is really, a lot of the feedback I got was a lot of people, the tax credit doesn't matter. That's number one. Number two, there's a lot of talk that it might go away. So maybe that's not a consideration. And then I also lowered the points value on dealer or direct model. A lot of controversy on this one. I find it easier to purchase a car directly from the manufacturer, but nowhere near as much fun and a lot more plastic. When you go to a Lexus dealer or a Mercedes dealer, they wine and dine. They got really good snacks at those dealerships, right? And it's nice, but you have to play the game with the dealers. And there's a stress and an anxiety for a lot of people. To me, I think if you find the right dealer, it can be a great experience. And there are a lot of really good dealers out there. But overall, the dealer model, marking up, buying cars from the manufacturer, marking them up, and then sending them out, as a middleman markup, it seems inefficient. It seems like there's more downside to that. However, a lot of the feedback I got was maybe that isn't such a big buying consideration, dealer or direct. If you know what you're doing and you know how to shop and you know the product that you want, if you're savvy, or if you can align yourself with someone who's savvy, you can coach you or guide you, you're having a good friend or a consultant of some sort, then I think you can always get a good deal. It just takes more energy, in my opinion, to buy from a dealer, and then you can have negative experiences. So I've adjusted this category because of that comment. Let me go back to some of the other comments here. The second comment was from Ian Gardner. And Ian said, hey, I like your point system, but your bias is screaming. Don't like negative points, okay? I happen to like negative points, so I'm going to keep it. I appreciate you're telling me that my bias is screaming, and I will take that under advisement. I want to try to be indifferent, but this is me doing the review, the Out of Spec Dave channel. And, one of the thoughts that I have here is that, what do you think about if I were to open this up to the community so that, Ian, you could rate the car, right? So if you disagree with me, maybe you could say, hey, here's the way I would rate that car. And then maybe the community could get there. We'll see how that develops. But I'm not trying to say that this is the end all be all. Dave should say what he wants to, but I'm giving you my opinions here about these review statistics. Now, what he said, based on your grading, I assume cars with one button to control them all should get minus 12 points. I don't really understand what you're saying. I think the spirit of what you're saying is, like negative points, and I get that. But I'm keeping the negative points, and it's just, what I just feel like I feel like I want to do that, and it's I could just say 0, but in some cases on some categories, I think certain cars they're gonna deserve the negative points, so I'm gonna keep that. GAO 57,009, he said AC charging. So this was interesting. When you go back over to my original score for the Kia on charging, AC charging, out of 5 points, you'll see I gave it 4. And the question was, why didn't I give it 5? 11 kilowatts of charging is good. As a matter of fact, that's better than Kathy's new Porsche Macan, which only charges at 9.2 or 9.4 kilowatts. Even though the manual says it charges at 11, it doesn't. So that's pretty crazy. I think it's maybe just because it's a global, I don't know. But this Kia Niro charges faster AC than this $90,000 Porsche Macan that's in our garage downstairs. But the reason why I think I did this one right, 5 points. Now, one might argue maybe I shouldn't give it 5 points. Maybe I should give it 4 points, because the honest truth is, if you come home at 7 o'clock and you plug your car in, does it really matter if you're getting 9.2 versus 11 versus maybe a little bit more AC juice? And I would think that as long as you wake up in the morning and you got a full battery, or you're up to 80% or whatever it is, then that's fine, right? Whereas DC fast charging, maybe that should get more points. So let me know what you think about that. I could actually skew DC up to 6 or even 7 and scale back AC charging from 5 to 4 or even 3. But getting back to the reason why I believe that I did give this the right, there was a reply by Chris Westonskow. Sorry if I screwed up your name there. And he said 80 amp, 19.2 kilowatts should be a 5. 11 should be a 4. And then anything less than that should be either a 3 or 2 or what have you. If you can't charge your car in AC, that should be a negative 5, right? So that's why I'm keeping the negative numbers. That means your car is dead. So, yeah, so anyway, I agree with Chris, what you said there, that 80 amp, 19.2 kilowatts should get a 5. So I think I scored the Kia Niro correct at a 4. Mark Harrington, thanks for your submission. Excellent review. Need more in-depth reviews like yours. Yeah, baby. Only criticism is your scoring. I think you'll get into trouble comparing vehicles. Interesting. If you keep giving 0.5s. So keep it simple. 0 is poor, 1 is below average, 2 is average, 3, 4, 5, and 5 being excellent. Then have a base standard for category of car, could be size or pressure. That I'm definitely going to incorporate. Mark, you mentioned this, and having categories of cars. Once I get enough data, you'll see that will start to evolve. And as I put the data up on making it available on the internet. So you're not comparing a Niro versus a Porsche. I was saying versus a Niro versus a Mercedes or what have you. So I agree with that. But the reason why I do want to keep the 0.5s in there is because in some of the categories, I'll give you an example here. If we look at this, some of the categories, especially down when I get down to like spare tire, roadside assistance, it's not a lot of points associated with that category. So, going from a 2 to a 1 is a big difference as opposed to going to a 2 to a 1.5. So I am going to keep the 0.5s in there, but I do appreciate your feedback on that. Let's keep going. Microsoft Word, here we are after Mark. Okay, Garbage Vision 9515. Have you considered adding curb weight and tire wear into your scoring? Something I find is a benefit for the Niro EV is the fact that it's one of the lighter weight EVs, under 4,000 pound curb weight out there. I did not take that into account only because, like, I'm not sure if lighter weight is a good thing or not. And let me explain. Kathy's Model Y, the previous generation. Now that we just got the news tonight that the new Model Y Juniper is now officially announced in Australia and China and one other market. Pretty exciting stuff. Check out the Out of Spec podcast we did last night. Jordan, myself, and Isaiah, just about that. Really cool car. But the Macan weighs 1,000 pounds more than the Model Y. Now, that will probably wear tires more, but it's a more solid feel. I don't know how else to say it. And so, the old Model Y, the outgoing Model Y, 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds. Kathy's Macan 4, 0 to 60 in 4.9 seconds, basically the same speed, 1,000 pounds more. I see the curb weight as a good thing. You may see the lighter weight as a better thing than more weight. But to me, it's about the proper acceleration based on the weight. And then what is that as far as the performance goes? So I'm going to leave that one alone. I get where you're coming from, and lighter weight would probably mean, better tire wear. I would also say that a Model 3 Performance in the insane mode or whatever, the crazy mode, you're going to rip through tires a lot more, especially if you're always constantly accelerating very fast and chirping the tires, as opposed to maybe just the weight itself. So anyway, I think I'm going to leave that one alone for right now. Kirito 72987. Just one suggestion, in my opinion: tire noise shouldn't really be a consideration, or at least should be a very minor one, considering that it's very highly affected by what tires you choose to put on. And you know what? You're right. I agree with you. And so let me show you what I've done with that. I think that's an excellent point, because there's so many different brands of tires. There's winter tires, there's all-season tires, and even within them, there's EV specific rated tires and with the foam insulation. And maybe the rental car that I had some not so good tires that really are a little noisier. What maybe another car, if you were to buy the car, would have a different set of tires on there. So I kind of have eliminated this concept under where is it? Oh wait, I got to go over to, sorry about that. I got to go over the new format under noise and vibrations, which I'm keeping it at 4. Oh no, I lowered noise and vibration from 6 points. Let me just make sure that I see that. Noise and vibration right here. Yeah, it was 6 points, and I've eliminated tire noise, 0. And so in the new format, what I'm doing is noise and vibrations is now only 4 points. Eliminated tire noise to, because there's too many variables. I agree with you. And then the wind and cabin, I have a misspelling there. Hold on 1 second. Wind and cabin noise, I've kept that at 2 points. And then creaks and rattles, I've kept that at 2 points. So I appreciate your input on that, and I agree with you. All right. So that's, we've changed that and tweaked that a little bit. Backdoor man in the end. Okay, that's interesting. Visibility is safety, ADAS is safety. So let's go ahead and talk about that. What I've done, ADAS, okay, is ADAS safety? One would think that it depends on the vehicle that you're driving, whether or not ADAS is safety. I do believe it is. The net effect of having a good ADAS system is it's safer. However, I think that the thing that I was trying to get at with safety here, and I think I put it in the video, were things like blind spot assist, or like in Kathy's Macan, it has this light bar that goes, it's like ambient lighting that's interactive, and it lights up in orange on the door. Plus you see things in the mirror. Whereas, for example, in the Tesla, you'll see me knock it a little bit in the Model 3 because there's a tiny little red light. So if you're looking over on the left, that's a good thing. It's in the new Model 3 and it wasn't in the previous generation. But yet there's a camera that's over here to the right that's showing you what's behind you. So where do you look? Do you look over here and you see the camera? I guess you kind of glance over and you look. But the implementation of things like if you're backing up and you're about to hit either a person, or maybe you're backing up too fast and you're about to hit the EA, supercharger, the charger, the DC fast charger at an Electrify America, a VW ID4 will slam on the brakes, right? Even some of the most basic Hyundais and Kias will slam on the brakes for you, and Tesla doesn't, right? So I see that as a safety feature, and I'm actually not going to combine ADAS into safety. One thing I did do though, and this was a miss on my part, is rate over-the-air updates. And you'll see that when I I think that's an important thing. So remote app support, things like being able to, turn on the air conditioning in the summertime or the heat in the wintertime, and how reliable is that and how easy is that to use, super important. But also over-the-air updates is also super important. And like, for example, over-the-air updates, they can be different types, right? Some over-the-air updates like in Tesla's case, they're able to update almost every system in the car, whereas Kathy's Macan, it has over-the-air updates now, supposedly. Haven't gotten one yet, but we've only had the car for about a month. But the fact is that her headlights need to be adjusted and have to bring it into the dealer. And apparently the headlights are blinding other drivers with this new Porsche Macan. So I'm like, wait a minute. If this were a Tesla, maybe I'm wrong, but I think what they would do is just send an over-the-air update and just adjust the headlights down a little bit. I wouldn't have to bring it in for an adjustment. And so, the implementation of over-the-air updates as to which systems they can affect without you having to take it into the dealership, there's going to be some gradations in there. And I think that's going to be super interesting. So keep your eye on that. That's a category that no one actually mentioned that to me. They weren't like, hey, that's a miss. Where is it? The other one was manual preconditioning. A couple people said, oh, you should be able to manually precondition. I think that gets tied more into, the on-route planning and making sure that you're putting in the destination where you want to go, so that when you arrive there, you've got the optimal temperature, the battery receive the highest amount of energy. And I think those really should be linked together. Being able to turn on manual preconditioning, I think sounds like a good thing, but I don't know that you or I as the driver should be the ones making the determination as to when to precondition the battery. I think the car should just automatically do that for you, just like Tesla does, just like Porsche does as well. But you have to use that navigation system on the route planning to be able to have that happen. Not to say I wouldn't want the manual preconditioning, but I'm not going to have a separate category on that. Okay. DJCALI001. Wow. Okay. Huge message here. He wanted to humbly point out a few possible modifications to a couple of my subcategories. First one, rating NAC support. I wonder if it might be taken into account how the integration is handled. In other words, are you going to be doing plug-in charge with NACs like the Macan does, but so other cars don't? Now the Hyundais, Kias, and the Genesis are they're going to be receiving NACs support, I guess on January 15th is supposed to come out. So, the question is, are you going to have to use an app for that, or is it just plug and charge like it is with the Ford F-150s and also with the Porsche Macan and the Taycan, or at least 22 and newer Taycans. I believe 2021s, maybe 2022s and newer Taycans, you get plug and charge. So yeah, you're making a good point that the ease of which you can actually get juice out of a Nax, dispenser is good. But to me, it's really just about getting juice at a Nax dispenser. And if you have to use an app in order to swipe, that's a real nice to have. I don't think I'm going to change the category there. And what DJCALI also says here is it's things like the complimentary subscriptions. He wanted me to rate those. When they run out, do you have to pay $20 a month and all this stuff? I hear you. I get that, but I maybe will mention this in some of the videos that I'm doing, but I'm not sure that I'm going to assign a whole category to that. But I do really appreciate you taking the time to write all this down. Fleecy's the King. Fleecy's the King. All right, this is more on the concept of dealers versus buying direct. And this was kind of an interesting one, and it's funny. People are not shy when they write things. It's interesting. If you're willing to pay full price and accept any surcharges, like you do on the Tesla app, all dealers will give you a very fast transaction. But I do remember Dave having less than stellar experiences at Tesla. When Mount Kisco one day was delivering 119 cars. Do you really get that white glove treatment? You just don't, right? They're like, here, sign this, see ya, right? It's a bit plastic and it can be a bit unnerving. But so how do you compare, a really good dealer experience to a direct to consumer? And so, and there was some more commentary about Fort Collins. The only reason they're being nice to us is because, we're good friends with them and good partner, which is true. But I think that there are great dealers out there, and there are some not so good dealers out there as well. It's the inconsistency. At least with Tesla, you kind of know what you're going to get, right? Is it going to be super great experience where you write home to mom and say, "Wow, that was the best car buying"? But you know what you get, right? And it is consistent, if nothing else. Whereas with dealers, it can be very inconsistent. This gentleman here, or this woman, June Hanzawa, was saying dealers should absolutely be a minus. And I wouldn't go as far as that. I think that it kind of depends as far as, so I was really struggling with, do I even keep dealer or direct as a category? And what you could see here in the format, where is it? Oh yeah, right under here, under buying considerations, dealer or direct. I had 2 points assigned there. And in the new format, what I've done is I have, where are you? Dealer direct, I've lowered it to 1 point. So, I think it's something to note and document when I'm reviewing these cars. What is the model to buy? But I just gave it 1 point. All right, so it's not a huge consideration. Let's go back to the comments here. This is the same person here. Wow, I just noticed that. Fleecy the King. He didn't like that I rated the creaks and rattles based on experience with only 2 rental cars. Kyle and you both experienced rentals, which never go to the dealer to get rattles fixed. Let's be real. Laugh out loud. So you're laughing at me that I noticed the same exact rattle in the Kia Niro that Kyle did. What I can tell you is I went on to some of the blogs and I saw other people saying the same thing, and so it wasn't just those 2 data points. Having said that, I've rented many rental cars in my life, as I'm sure you have, Fleece the King. And, most of them didn't really have creaks or rattles. And what was interesting was that Kyle and I had the same exact creak and rattle in the same exact model car. And so for that, I'm calling it out. And so I definitely wanted to leave that there. So when I go over to the new format, as far as where are we here on, let me just see, noise and vibrations. Creaks and rattles, I left that at 2 points, but I did kill, the tire noise as we talked about. All right, we're coming to the end here, folks. I like this idea, Dave, from Darren Brazil. Just try not to be biased towards the vehicles you like, and I think that's good advice. I get excited about things I like. I get fired up on things I don't like. I should try to be very indifferent and be objective so that I can bring to you the best information. Having said that, I'm the one doing the reviews, and sometimes I get excited. So what you can also do at the end is give a list of gas equivalent vehicles that people may own in which the car you're reviewing would make a perfect replacement for. That's maybe here and there I can say that, but that's just such a big, broad topic. I'm not sure how to really tackle that. Let me finish up here by going over some of the additional categories on the new format that I've introduced. One of the things you'll notice, I increased the charging to 22 points, giving range 6 points and DC peak speed curve a total of 12, 10. Yeah, so each of these was, I was giving 5 points for each of these. Let me just make sure that that's correct. Where are we? In the Kia. Yeah, okay, here we go. I was giving 5 points each of 4 categories. And now what I've done is I've juiced up that category to 22 points. I took the tire noise 2 points away and I gave it to charging. And I overemphasized range and DC fast charging 6 points each for that. So that's the one change. You notice that I added the words or the category to remote app support, also over the air update, minor thing. I didn't change any of the categories as far as the price got changed to value for money. The points didn't change there. But what I did, I'm wrong. I did juice. These were all 2 points each for a total of 8 points under the buying considerations. And what I did was value for money. I juiced that up from 2 to 4. I kept the brand reputation at 2, and I lowered tax credit eligible or dealer or direct down from 2 to 1. Okay, so that's what I did there. Let me just put that as yellow right there. I talked about the tire noise, and that's going away. So why do I have only 98 points here? I don't know. I'll fix that. There's a wrong number in the spreadsheet. But so this is what I'm going to be using going forward for the time being. I do, like I mentioned, I wanted to kind of share with you my thought process. I'm doing this on my own, but I've also gotten your feedback into this as well. Let me know what you think about potentially, me opening this up to all of you to rate cars, and then it might be interesting to start to gather that information to say, here's what Dave thinks, and he thinks this is the best car in the world, and everybody else in the world thinks it's not, right? And I think there's value in seeing that. I have some thoughts about how would I keep quality control up there, and maybe I want to create a private subscription-based service where I'll know who the people are that are rating the cars, because I wouldn't want people to go on to a site like this and just juice numbers really high on the cars they love and not be objective, which I'm going to try to do a better job of. But I've got the spirit in the right place, at least there. So when you open it up to the masses, I think it introduces some concepts. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about that as well. But I also do respect, like some people said, hey, 47.2 points out of 100 on the Kia, spot on. Other people were like, hey, Dave, that was a crazy low number. How come it's so high or so low? What would you think you would give that car, right? So why shouldn't I listen to what that person would give that car and the rationale behind it? So I've got a lot going on here, but I think I'm on to something here for 2025. I want to thank you for listening to this video. I appreciate your support, and we'll see where this goes. Next review up, Tesla Model 3 Performance. Fasten your seatbelt for that one. I think it might be a big score, not because I'm biased. No, because it's a really good car. Am I biased? Maybe. We'll Well, we'll see. Anyway, thanks again for watching another episode of Out of Spec Dave. We'll catch you on the next one, and I appreciate all your feedback. Take care now. Bye-bye.